Hi, it's Adam from Ri3D at Purdue, and today we're going to show an example of an inspection on our new robot. So just to do the measurements, this is a 4 foot long stick. So starting off, we can check that our starting configuration meets the under 4 foot and it stays entirely in our bumpers. So holding it up, we can see we start fully within frame perimeter by a pretty good margin. We can then check that we cannot get more than a foot outside of our frame to make sure we don't overextend. So we go ahead and lower that down. And we can see that we are within a foot of our frame perimeter, making us legal in that regard. Okay. Going on to the next, we're going to skip bumper rules. No sharp edges or protrusions, so I'm just going to run my hand around, feel if there's anything sharp that could cut me or possibly cut another robot. And we see that we are looking pretty good. No prohibited materials such as sounds, lasers, flammable gases. And once again, our robot looks good. We're entirely within on the electronics. No risk of damage to other robots such as tangling or adhering. We don't have anything that sticks outside of the frame perimeter other than our intake, and our intake stays low and is not a frequent risk to other robots for entangling. No risk of damage to field. We're using kit-apart wheels. We don't have to worry about any sort of field damage that could possibly ruin the carpet or maybe a game element. And no risk of damage to game pieces. And while our intake does feature some sprockets and chains, they're a minimal risk and they're not near the center of our intake, so we don't have the risk of accidentally chewing up the notes. So, next we have decorations and endgame. So we don't have anything extra, like any special, any sort of like mementos to our team or anything like that. And our intake can be spun out by hand. So after the match, if we still had a game piece stuck in our robot, we could easily remove it. Now, moving on to electrical, none of our components were modified. We're using the normal Talons, we're using normal Spark Maxes, no custom electronics. We are using a single competition legal battery, and our PDP or PDH is visible on our back panel where it could quickly be accessed, as well as our main breaker has quick access for if it needs to be shut off for some reason. Our robot radio is legal, and also we can easily see the sensor lights. And our CAN bus is connected, or our CAN bus, okay, our PDP is connected to our CAN wiring, and our CAN bus is also fairly visible, which isn't necessarily a rule, but it's nice to quickly diagnose. We are only using a RoboRio, and we can see that we have power as well as a necessary RSL. Now, we can see all of our motors. We are using a few different. We're using Sims, we're using Neos, and we're using 775s. We are using all legal motors that have been approved via the game manual. We're using no custom circuits and no actuators such as pneumatics that would require the special rules for compressors and things like that. And that is when we would do a power on test. So the team would show that they can first find their breaker and they can legally power it on, that the RSL lights up to indicate when the robot is both powered and when it is enabled, which would be shown by its flashing. And this is when they would show that they can control the robot, that the driver station acts appropriately, and we would verify the team number to make sure it'll connect to the field fine. So that is a quick look at what a full inspection would look like for a robot like this for the 2024 season Crescendo.